Before you grab your Bohemian Rhapsody vinyl, hear me out. There are 7 forgotten bands whose music might just outshine Queen. We're uncovering hidden gems buried beneath the crown, and by the end of this video, you might just agree that Queen wasn't the only royalty in rock. Don't lurk in the shadows like a forgotten riff, slam that subscribe button like a coffin nail sealing rock's lost legacy. Join the dark crusade to resurrect music's buried titans and unleash the chaos. 7. The Pretty Things. Meet the Pretty Things, the band that invented the rock opera, 2 years before Queen even thought about Bohemian Rhapsody. While Queen was still figuring out their sound, the Pretty Things dropped SF Sorrow in 1968, a complete story told through music, with characters, plot twists, and emotional depth that would make a novelist jealous. This wasn't just songs thrown together, this was a musical theater disguised as rock and roll. But here's where it gets crazy. They didn't just pioneer the concept album, they did it with raw, aggressive edge that makes Queen's theatrics look, well, theatrical. Where Queen gave you polish and perfection, the Pretty Things gave you blood, sweat, and pure emotional chaos. Their track, Rosalind, hits like a sledgehammer. No fancy production tricks, no operatic flourishes, just pure rock fury that influenced punk rock before punk rock even existed. They were the angry older brother that punk looked up to, while Queen was the popular kid everyone noticed. If you think that's impressive, wait until you hear about a band that took Beatles-level melodies and added a tragic story that'll break your heart. But first, are you team raw energy or team polished perfection? Drop your votes in the comments. And of course, don't just keep on watching, smash that subscribe button like a punk rock sledgehammer through a stadium's gates. Join the rebellion to resurrect music's unsung titans. Number 6. Badfinger. This one's gonna hurt, music lovers. Badfinger was signed to the Beatles' own Apple Records. Let that sink in. The Beatles thought these guys were good enough to carry their legacy. And they were right. Songs like No Matter What and Day After Day didn't just match Queen's ability to craft perfect hooks, they surpassed it. Where Queen gave you theatrical grandeur, Badfinger gave you pure emotional truth. Every note felt like it was ripped straight from the heart. But here's the tragic twist that makes this story so powerful. While Queen was conquering the stadiums and counting millions, Badfinger was getting destroyed by the music industry. Bad management, stolen royalties, legal nightmares, it drove 2 band members to suicide. Think about that. A band so talented that the Beatles themselves handpicked them, created music so perfect that it still gives you chills today, and they died forgotten while lesser bands became legends. If this story doesn't make you angry about the music industry, then I don't know what will. Share this with someone who needs to know about Badfinger. They deserve to be remembered. 5. Hawkwind. It's 1973, and while Queen is crafting their polished rock anthems, there's another British band creating something completely insane. Space rock that sounds like it was beamed down from another galaxy. Hawkwind didn't just make music, they created sonic experiences. Their album, Space Ritual, is 90 minutes of pure psychedelic chaos that makes Queen's most experimental moments sound like elevator music. And their bass player, a guy named Lemmy? Yeah, that Lemmy, who later founded Motorhead? Before he was the godfather of metal, he was laying down thunder with Hawkwind, creating sounds that were heavier, weirder, and more innovative than anything Queen's ever attempted. Their track, Silver Machine, is what happens when you take rock music and shoot it out into the orbit. No pretty harmonies, no theatrical poses, just pure sonic assault that influenced everyone from punk to metal to electronic music. While Queen was trying to please everyone, Hawkwind was alienating half of their audience and absolutely melting the minds of the other half. And honestly, that takes more guts than any stadium sing-along. But if you think space rock is weird, wait until you meet the brand that made the flute. Yes, the flute! Sound heavier than most guitars. This next one's gonna make your head spin. 4. The Raspberries. The Raspberries did something Queen never quite mastered. They made pop music that rocked and rock music that undeniably popped, all while keeping it completely authentic. Their song, Go All The Way, is 3 minutes of absolute perfection, Beatle levels melody, with a rock edge that hits harder than most Queen's anthems. But here's what makes them special. They did it without the costumes, without the theatrical show, without any of the flash. Just 4 guys making music so catchy, so perfectly crafted that it influenced everyone, from Cheap Trick to modern indie bands. They proved you didn't need Freddie Mercury's voice or Brian May's guitar pyrotechnics. You just needed great songs and the courage to play them with conviction. The tragedy? They barely lasted 4 years. While Queen was building their empire, the Raspberries burned bright and fast, leaving behind a handful of perfect albums that most people never heard. So do you prefer flashy showmanship or pure musical talent? Because our next band chose talent over flash, and it made them legends to the people who actually knew about music. 3. Montrose. Here's where things get serious. While Queen was blending opera with rock, Montrose was creating something much more primal and powerful. They were basically inventing heavy metal. Their 1973 debut album opens with Bad Motor Scooter, and within the first 10 seconds, guitarist Ronnie Montrose delivers a riff so heavy, so perfectly brutal, that it makes Brian May sound like he's playing a lullaby. And their singer? Sammy Hagar, before he joined Van Halen and became a household name. But here's the thing, his work with Montrose was rawer, hungrier, more desperate than anything he did later. This was rock and roll with its teeth bared. Van Halen literally built their sound on Montrose's foundation. Without Montrose, there might not have been a Van Halen. Without Van Halen, the entire landscape of rock guitar changes. Queen influenced singers and showmen. Montrose influenced the guys who influenced everyone else. But if you think that Montrose was heavy, our next band took heavy and threw it out the window in favor of something even more dangerous. Pure, unfiltered emotion. And their story will break your heart. Number 2, The Move. Before Queen was zigzagging through rock, opera, and disco, The Move was pulling off something even wilder, blending genres with single tracks with jaw-dropping precisions. Roy Wood, their musical mad genius, was a step ahead, crafting songs that shifted from psychedelic pop to blistering rock to classical flourishes all in a single breath. Unlike Queen's theatrical flair, The Move made these switches feel effortless, like they were born to do it. Their 1968 hit, Blackberry Way, starts soft, almost whimsical, then surges into an epic playful masterpiece that leaves Queen's drama in the dust. It's complex, but it's fun, something most brands couldn't dream of pulling off. Wood's vision was fearless. He didn't just play with genres, he toyed with them, making the impossible sound natural, and The Move was so packed with talent, it basically birthed another legend. Roy Wood left to form Electric Light Orchestra. Yes, ELO, a band that took his boundary-pushing spirit and ran with it. The Move wasn't just a band, it was a launching pad for greatness. But as mind-blowing as The Move was, they're still not our top pick. Our number 1 band had killer songs, raw talent, groundbreaking innovation, and still got screwed by the cruel lottery of fame. Their story isn't just about music, it's about how the world can overlook pure genius. We're gonna dive into them right now. Number 1, Big Star. This is the most heartbreaking story in rock history. Big Star created some of the most perfect pop rock songs ever recorded, and I'm not exaggerating. Songs like September Girls and 13, they are masterpieces of melody, emotion, and pure musical craftsmanship that make Queen's hits sound overproduced by comparison. Alex Chilton's songwriting was so good that R.E.M. built their entire early career copying his style. The Replacements worshipped them. Every Indian alternative band in the 80s and 90s considered Big Star their spiritual fathers. But here's the cruel twist. The record label had 0 distribution. 0. Imagine creating the greatest album of your generation, then watching it sit in warehouses because your label couldn't get it to record stores. While Queen was selling millions and filling stadiums, Big Star was playing to empty clubs because nobody even knew they existed. 3 perfect albums, decades of influence on other musicians, and a legacy that grows stronger every year. But they never got their moment. If talent was all that mattered, Big Star would be more famous than the Beatles. If great songs guarantee success, they'd be bigger than Queen. But sometimes, the universe just isn't fair. So here's what I want you to think about. Were Queen really the best band of their era? Or were they just the luckiest? Now, don't get me wrong, Queen was incredible. Freddie Mercury was a force of nature. Their songs are timeless, and their impact on music is undeniable. But talent doesn't always equal fame, and fame doesn't always equal greatness. These 7 bands prove that each one brought something to the table that Queen couldn't. Raw emotion, genre-blending innovation, pure songcraft, or just simply the courage to be different. They were all in their own ways better than Queen at all the things that should matter the most. Which band crushed Queen? Yell in the comments. Smash that like and share now. And do you think that the Beatles were untouchable? Our last video exposes 5 bands that should have stolen their spotlight. Subscribe or miss out.